Okay, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Pradikta Lazuardi from EAP 69C class. This is my presentation for the midterm microeconomic test. Good afternoon, Pak Dzikri. Let me begin my presentation. Record. Okay. My research for this case is about the Indonesian tobacco or cigarette industry from microeconomic perspective. First of all, start with introduction. What kind of goods the tobacco industry? I believe that it's in a customer good sector because everyday essential customer goods is like the goods that you buy the, the goods that you buy daily, regularly, and it's everyday essential or part of the industry called customer goods. Within the customer goods, there are special category called customer staples or the cyclical goods. It is when you use it every day, and the sales doesn't depend on the cyclus. And one of the example of cyclical goods is cigarettes. Why? Because cigarette is consumed every day, every season, every occasion. Cigarette industry, it's controversial because it's not only have the impact in economic, but also the health implication. Health implication play a significant role in the economic in many countries, including Indonesia. Like when a lot of people smoke cigarettes, and then the health care budget will be uh, higher than it is uh, than it is will be higher and will be reduce the economy itself. So let's begin with the contribution with the GDP. This cyclical industry contributes a significant portion for the GDP. From the BPS data, it's in for the fiscal year 2023, it's contribute 19.08% from 3,125 billion of Indonesian GDP. From the employment perspective, the sector provide job in various segments, from manufacturing to retail to hospitality and tourism. It is make crucial source for employment in Indonesia. What about export? The majority of the cyclical goods might be using for domestic consumption because it is a primary driver, and only a little portion will go to be export. And then how about the sector change, sector growth driver and challenge? The growth driver for this cyclical consumer goods is first, it's because the growing population in Indonesia, growing population also needs the consumer goods for the daily life. So the second is about the increasing purchasing power of the society. Increase the purchasing power, it will increasing the number of goods they want to buy, the willingness to buy. The third is government support, like subsidy or regulation that help the company. And the last is the digital transformation. Digital transformation, it's like, as we know, after the COVID-19 happened, every buying, it's going to be digital. Like we, it's it's a common thing to buy thing digital, and then the goods will be delivered to our front door by the seller courier. And then the challenge itself, it's first, it's competition between a player, because its barrier to entries is it's small, and a lot of player can play, and a lot of player can play and make the market it's big and competitive. Number two, it's inflation. Inflation itself, it's making the price higher, and the purchasing power of uh, society, it's decreased. Number three, it's shifting customer preference. Like customer nowadays, it's concerned about health, concerned about eco product, and etc. Number four is change in regulation. Change in regulation can happen if government make tax or something else. Number four is like supply chain disruption. Like in the COVID-19, the goods cannot deliver well to the supermarket, to the place that customer can reach, because its supply chain disruption happen. Next, about the sector historical trend and future production projection of this sector. First, we will talk about the historical trend. The historical trend. Okay. From the historical trend, we know that population growth, and it's increasing the disposable income from the population. And then number two, it's about the shifting customer preference, like such as the demand of the organic foods or product, and natural and eco-friendly. Number three, it's the modern retail format and online shopping behavior, including the supermarket and online marketplace, has transformed customer access to the goods. It's more easier for customer to access that goods they need. And number four is about brand consolidation. The industry has witnessed with consolidation, with a large multinational corporation acquiring small player to gain market share and economic of scale, like when Unilever acquiring the Kecap Banggo. And the future about this sector is it's continue to grow, and then online shopping is projected to continue its dominance as customer increasingly return into to shop in digital platform. And then it's more focused on personalization, not the mass of production again. And next is sustainability will become the central focus, with customer demanding the eco-friendly and healthy good. And the last is about advance in automation, artificial intelligence, and big data analytics. It will improve the supply chain efficiency in this sector. Okay, let's move on to the cost and production of the company. In this section, I will give an example about the cigarette industry or tobacco industry. What is the cost structure from the cigarette industry. I divided into four the type of cost structure. First, the fixed cost. Then second is variable cost. The third is about the economic of scale, and the last is cost driver. The fixed cost from the cigarette industry consists, but maybe different between company, but the average is the rent, the depreciation of machinery, salary of the administrative or office staff, and security. And the variable cost for this industry is first, of course, the raw material. The raw material consists of the tobacco leaves, cloves, and other ingredients that used in production of tobacco. The packaging material, the direct labor, then the last is about the excise tax stamp or the pita cukai. What about the economic of scale? How company reach the economic of scale? In my opinion, there are several ways to company in cigarette industry to reach the economic of scale. First, it's to bulk purchasing, like when company can negotiate a lower price of raw material when they buy it in a bulk, like a big quality of raw material, and then it will reduce the variable cost per unit. Number two, it's production efficiency. High volume production allow company to spread the fixed cost of company overhead over a larger number of cigarettes, reducing the average cost per unit. And the last is about shared resource. Company might share R&D department or marketing resource across different segment of the brand, so they can reduce overall cost by doing this, and then they will increase the economic of scale, the company economic of scale. The last, what about the cost driver? What cost which will drive this production? Number one, it's about production volume. The overall production volume will directly affect both variable and fixed cost per unit. Number two, it's the government regulation. Change in excise duty or excise tax stamp. Like we know, in 2024, the tax duty of cigarettes will increase significant. And then the others is about the advertising restriction, or the minimum wage can significantly impact the variable cost. Number three, what drive the cost is the global tobacco price itself. The fluctuation of the global price of tobacco leaves can affect the raw material used in the company production. Next, we talk about production function. Company that can optimize this function will be better positioned to achieve cost efficiently and meet market demand. In this section, we will talk about the factor of production, the technology, and the output. The output itself, it's the number of cigarettes produced. It can be individual. It can measure by individual cigarettes. It can measure by how many pack or how many carton. With the factor production in the raw material, of course, it needs tobacco leaves, cloves, and ingredient, paper, filter, and the etc. From the labor sides, this is the direct labor who involve directly into the production, like the machine operator, quality control, or people who make the handmade cigarette. And next is the capital. The capital in factor production, I can say that it is the manufacturing machine and the building of the place of production itself. And the last is the technology. Technology itself, I divide it into two. Number one, it's automation. More automated the factory it can produce high volume of cigarette with less of labor, especially it's in the um, machine SKM, machine made cigarette. And second is about the production technique. With the advanced technique and technology, it can reduce waste and improve product quality, potentially will increase the output itself. Next is how I analyze the impact of cost and production decision on firm profitability in I make analysis in PT Hakam Sampurna in fiscal year 2023. This is the net sorry. This is the profit and loss statement. Let's talk about impact of costs. From this figure, we know that the cost of goods sold increased to 0.8% compared with the 2022 years. It's mainly driven by higher manufacturing costs, primarily reflected significant inflationary pressure on raw material, coupled with the growing SKT portfolio. And the company said the hand-rolled cigarette required twice as much tobacco and cloves as machine-made cigarettes. From the operating expense, which is represented by selling and general administrative expense, it increased by 10.2% from the prior year to 10.4 trillions. It was because the higher advertising and promotion support smoke-free products that's launched in the beginning of 2024, the Ecos, Iluma, and Terea. Higher freight and logistic costs due to higher fuel price, higher management service, also salaries, wages, and employee benefit. But the increase of the cost, the 2023 net income still high because there's there's another income from gain in this investment of PT Tamandayu and PT Gok Tamandayu, the non-tobacco subsidiaries. This is the expense by the nature. We can see that this is the raw material, this is the direct labor, this is the factory overheads, and so on. This is the cost of excise tax stamp, and this is the sales and administrative expense that we can spread from with the total fixed cost and the variable cost. And I also analyze from this process of production. The company have own production facilities with 2 machine-made kretek production facility, 1 smoke-free production facility, and 4 hand-rolled kretek cigarette production facility. And the company also have 38 production facilities owned and operated by third-party operator. So the the company, it's quite a large company, and the technology itself, it is advanced, because they use the the facility and to produce the good itself. And this is the brand family, or the segmentation of the company, selling, the sales of the company. It's differentiated into Jisamsu, Sampurna, Sampurna Kretek, Marlboro, it's white cigarette machine, and the new one in its smoke-free product, it's called ECOS. From the revenue side, then 2023 total revenue is increased by 4.2% to 116 trillion. It's driven by SKT portfolio with the net revenue in 32.1% increase, but the other contributed by solid performance of the brand Jisamsu. And let's move on into the market structure. Customer goods sector tend to be dominated by these two main market structure. It is oligopoly and monopolistic competition. Why these two? Because the oligopoly one, it's commonly in the oligopoly happen commonly in many customer goods. Like a few large firm has a big market share in the have a big market share in the market. They do brand recognition and brand differentiation. It is a barrier to entry and high cost in running the business. In some area, it is more likely the monopolistic competition, because large number of seller with differentiate product, because it is have a large number of seller with differentiate product, such as the food and beverage area or shoes. The price is non-price competition. Company compete each other factor like the brand image and unique features. In monopolistic competition, it's also easy to entry and easy to exit. The question is why the structure can dominate the market. The answer of this question is the economic of scale. The production cost decrease as production volume increase, and this will give established firm cost advantages over the smaller player, because they can produce more quantity than the small player like home industry. And for the example for this customer goods oligopoly, I take the example of the cigarette industry in Indonesia. From this computation, we know that there are three players have the high market share in Indonesia. It is HM Sampurna, Gudang Garam, and Jarum, which CSI index is 3,254, and C4 it's 98.58%. It's qualified as an oligopoly, with the market leader in this industry is PT HM Sampurna, and followed by the PT Gudang Garam. How oligopoly market affect this the firm pricing and the output decision? First, the pricing. Price competition is limited. Company will avoid aggressive price war. And then the price and product leadership. Like as long as know, the market share leader in this case is Sampurna, who usually will set the price, and the other player will follow the price that set by the Sampurna, and it can be the informal collusion price. From the output decision perspective, we know that the quantity product combination company may agree to produce level production to avoid too much product in market. So to maintain the total product that goes to markets, they usually use the quantity production coordination. Two, it's the product differentiation. Competition will shift to feeders brand image or marketing strategy to grab customer attention instead of doing the price war. The output decision itself, it's also consists of the entry barrier. Number three, it's the government regulation. The government regulates the cigarette industry due to some health concern. Company has limited producer pricing flexibility because of high excise tax on cigarette are a significant source of revenue. Number three, regulation and advertising, also marketing, it's the tricky one because it's a lot of restriction from the government. And then how market leader influence the market outcome is through the pricing, output, product differentiation, and non-price competition. In pricing, market leader can lead higher price than its perfect competition market. From the output side, informal coordination can restrict quantity of production, like I said in previous slides. From the product differentiation side, the innovation in existing category, so it can make the product more segmented in the market. And the last is non-price competition. Invest in marketing campaigns, sponsorship to enhance brand loyalty and solidify the market power from the market leader. Next is about the government regulation. Okay, how government regulation that this is some of government regulation that affecting the industry. And as we know, the economists think it's always how it's the cost and benefit between something. In this case, it's benefit and cost between the total welfare, its economic side, and the health issue. Some government regulation that affecting the industry nowadays, it's like the regulation of Ministry of Finance 191 years 2022, and the ministry will increase the excise or the tax of the tobacco and of the cigarette. It's doing because the health issue. I mean, by increasing its tax, the government hope that they will decreasing the number of smoker, the number of sales in product of cigarette. Number two, it's government regulation number 36 2009, the concerning of health. It's mandate local government to regulate the assemblies of non-smoking area. Number 3, regulation of Ministry of Trade. Number 50, 2020, it's regulates to not sell directly into consumer under age of 18 and regulates the not directly visualize display cigarettes and people smoking and restrict online smoking trades and urge modern retail to not sell cigarette to consumer underage. And the next, it's from the Ministry of Trades. It's about the import of tobacco. And the last, it's Ministry of Finance Regulation number 6, 2024. It's about the sharing fund of tobacco excise revenue to the region, province, regency, or municipality for fiscal years 2024. What's the impact of regulation? First, we saw it in this curve, supply and demand curve. As we know, the cigarette, it's in the non-cyclical consumer goods, and demand is inelastic. That means that the increase in price will not affect or have the little effect on the quantity of the demand product in customer in society. So if the price is higher because of the tax, people still buying the cigarette because it is an inelastic demand. And then first of all, maybe they search for the substitution goods, but when they think the substitute goods it's not good enough for them, they will back to buy the cigarette that they commonly buy. So it will stay the quantity, not reduce it. And the tax effect. The increased amount of tax will reduce the demand side to the left. The price will be increased and the demand of the product will decrease in certain time. However, because the cigarette product are in elastic demand, the demand will return to equilibrium position as long as substitute goods cannot fulfill the customer desire. Customers still have the willingness to pay for the goods, and there is a cost burden by customer with the greater than cash burden by supplier. This is the government revenue side that reducing the customer customer and producer well, surplus, sorry, surplus, reducing the customer and producer surplus is decreased, but the decrease itself it is become government revenue from the tax paid by the customer. The other impact of the regulation, it's about the other externality, the negative externality and the positive externality. Because from the negative externality side, the smoking harm not only the smoker, but also the secondary smoker. And also the healthcare costs, and it is reducing the productivity from the smoker, because they usually takes time to smoke, or they often have a day off because they sick, like that. In the positive externality side, it's like the tobacco agriculture and production generate employment in rural area. It's reduce unemployment in some area. The second perspective is from the market failure. First, the incomplete information. Like the customer might underestimate the long-term health risks of smoking, and this is addictive product. Cigarettes are addictive, leading to continued consumption despite a negative consequence. It's great market inefficiency. Like even if they have small amount of paycheck, like the smoker often choose to buy cigarette rather than buy food or healthiest food for himself. So it will actually reduce the health in the long run. The third is the moral hazard problem. The smoking can be expensive. People who smoke can get sick, and it's might rely a lot of public health care like the BPJS, which costs everyone money. How about the effectiveness of government regulation? First, from the tax perspective, high excise duty can reduce excessive consumption, leading a more efficient allocation for resource away from the cigarette. However, the higher tax will also create the black market, because people also searching for alternative product that's more cheaper than the the regular one. Number two is about the economic impact. The strict regulation can lead to job loss, the industry, and reduce government revenue from tobacco tax. It is the cost. However, healthcare cost saving, it's become higher, and it can offset some of the costs previously I said. The effectiveness of the ban of buying cigarettes, it's not really effective, because the seller, maybe the cashier, is more concerned about the number of sales than the regulation or the regulation itself. And the last is a smoking ban in certain place. I think it's well proven to reduce the number and frequency of smoker in that place, like forbidden to smoke in the building, office building, or in the trade. To improve the regulation, I believe that some way to improve the government regulation. First, it's the strength, the enforcement of the black market cigarette seller. Increasing the resource for monitoring and penalize violating of advertising ban, sales restriction to minor and quality control regulation. This is discourage black market activity and also protect the public health. Next is public health education. The government should invest in comprehensive public health campaign to educate the citizen, especially the young people, about the long-term health risks of smoking. This campaign can counter the fancy smoking advertising that sometimes seen in the TV or internet. Next is about the taxation. Regularly review and potentially increase the tax duties on cigarette. Like we know, the tax duty, the tax give in cigarette in Indonesia is quite low comparing with the other country. Even if in 2024 they are increasing in excise duty on cigarette. But beware, when it's increasing too high, it will be increasing also the number of illegal cigarette. And the last is encourage export sales over the domestic sales. So it will limit the domestic consumption, industry trend, and future outlook. From the cigarette industry, like we see in this table, the gross domestic product from manufacture of tobacco is about 147.83 trillion rupiah in 2023, and it is increasing from years to years. From the employment side, it is the large workforce includes from the planting, farming, to manufacturing, distribution, and sales itself. It's involved around 5.98 million worker and for 5.98 million worker for the total. From the export sides, in the January to September 2023 data, the amount of tobacco export was about 0.72% from non-oil on oil and gas Indonesian export portion. What's drive the growth? First, the large population. Indonesia have a large youth population and increasing number of smokers over time. And this is actually not good for Indonesia itself. Number two, the affordable cigarette price, and it's easy to find. Cigarettes remain inexpensive in Indonesia comparing with other countries. The third is the demand itself, it's inelastic. The challenge in this industry is increase the health concern, including the impact of the passive smoker. Also increasing in tax or tobacco excise. And the third is increasing demand in substitute product such as the electric cigarettes or the black market one with non-brand cigarette. And the last, it's about the environment concern. The campaign about not to smoke, it's increasing year by year, so that the sales of the cigarette itself, I mean, it can be impact to the sales of the cigarette industry itself. And this is the past and future projection. Like we see in the past, average yearly per capita expenditure on cigarette tobacco, it's increase year to years, and then the production, the cigarette by the cigarette type, it's also increasing over times. From the future projection sides, we can see that the revenue generated from cigarette market in Indonesia is projected to be $35.4 billion in 2024, and it will grow annually by 2.90% CAGR from 2024 to 2028. The comparison with the other country, China leads with a revenue of 282.9 million in 2024. Indonesia's cigarette market will continue to thrive despite increasing of the health concern. In the long-term outlook, the cigarette industry of Indonesia is influenced by combination of economic, social, and regulatory factor. Next is about the competitive dynamic. Competitive dynamic analysis, it consists of three parts: the level of competition, market share, and firm strategy. From the level of competition, it's the oligopoly itself, and the major player in industry dominates with a few large company and create oligopoly. With oligopoly, company can influence the price and production distinction to some extent. And also it will create the black market. Strict regulation and high tax might have the large black market for the cigarette. Its illegal market put pressure on legal producer and also reduce the government revenue. From the market share, we know that the dominant player is HM Sampurna, followed by the Gudang Garam, that hold the majority of market share in this cigarette industry. The company compete through brand differentiation. They offered various cigarette style like kretek, machine produce, hand produce, or the white cigarette flavor and price point to reach different customer segment. From the firm strategy side, it is cost leadership. Some company focus on cost leadership using efficient production method and economic of scale to offer lower price cigarette and compete with the black market. Number two, it's the product differentiation. Like they develop premium brand with unique features and marketing them heavily to create brand loyalty. And then focus in area that the black market present. I mean that they penetrate from to all the Indonesian area to increase their sales. The implication itself, it's the stricter regulation will increasing tax and challenge customer preference and lead to decline in traditional cigarette. However, the industry could potentially transform by focusing on innovation, premiumization, diversification, and then they also can tackling the black market. In conclusion, from the economist's point of view, we look at the cost and benefit view. The benefit from this cigarette industry, it's increasing tax revenue, and it's also increasing the production and consumer surplus. Tobacco production, manufacturing, and retail create job from the plantation, manufacturing, and sales itself, and then from the supply chain itself, and it also can increasing Indonesian GDP from the export of the product. On the other hand, the cost itself is about the health issue, like the healthcare burden. It's lead to very large amount of money being spent on healthcare because of the illness caused by smoking, the secondhand smoking, the baby that get respiratory illness because of their parents is smoker. It's also decreasing in productivity that can reduce economic output itself and the environmental costs. I argue that in this situation, cost it's outweighs benefit. So government as a regulator should find a way to control, to reduce the number of smoker in Indonesia. So it it will not increasing the future health budget because of everyone. A lot of people get sick because of the long-term smoking habit. This is the reference. Thank you for listening my presentation. Pradikta Lazuardi sign off. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.